how mom spends $20 a week on groceries while living on Social Security. Even now in January of 2023, what is your grocery bill?
Oh, it's about the same, about $20 a week.
Yep. So we're going to talk about a few tips for saving on groceries while you're living on Social Security. Really, I mean, I know we sound like a broken record, but for those of you who are new, it's really actually quite simple. And number one is stop eating so much.
Well, can I jump in before this? I mean, stop eating so much, but I think it's always, how can I save on Social Security?
Yep.
How can I save for what?
Living on a fixed income.
Yeah, on a fixed income. The tips we give you guys, and we preach this for years now, stop, those tips work for everywhere, everybody and everywhere. So listen to the tips, don't listen to the numbers. I know we sound like a broken record, but the tips we give for the family of 10 or a person of 1,
it's gonna be the same.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And you've got to wrap your mind. So stop saying, how can I save, because I'm on Social Security, the same way everybody else does.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Because everybody thinks their thing is special.
Yeah, but they can't wrap their minds around it.
No, they can't.
First of all, stop eating so much food.
Yeah.
Especially if you're overweight. I'm really sorry, but we've had person after person say, thank you so much for telling me to start using smaller plates. I've lost 60 pounds in the last year by just eating less food. I don't have to take my diabetes insulin. You are paying more for, if you have diabetes, you're paying for all these medications and doctor bills and all this stuff, and it would be helped if you would just stop eating so much food.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but mom doesn't sit down every night and just gorge herself on what she wants to eat. She doesn't sit and just eat all day long.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize how much you are actually eating unless you have one of these special diets where you write it down. I don't need to write anything down. Like I had got some chips for Christmas from Tara, and I asked for them for a Christmas present, and I started eating them, and I thought, oh, these are so good, you know, and I had the bag, and all of a sudden I stopped and looked, and seven chips were 150 calories. And I'd already eaten about 8 or 9 chips, and I was going to continue eating. So don't look at what you're eating. Make note of what you're eating. So I had these little tiny square plates. I pulled out 7 chips and put it on my little plate. Don't take the whole bag in and sit and eat.
Yep.
You know.
Next is shop the clearance section, and sale ads also kind of goes with that, but the clearance section. Now, here in our town, we have 2 grocery stores and Walmart. We don't have an Aldi, we don't have a Save-A-Lot, nothing like that. So look for the markdown meats, the markdown fruits, vegetables, the markdown bakery items. It's not bad food. It's not expired. The store just needs to sell it so that it can be sold, and then you still have 3 to 5 days afterwards, at least, depending on what you buy, to eat that food up, or you can throw it in the freezer.
And watch, because like there's a lot of times, once you learn your grocery store, I know now when my grocery store marks the dairy stuff, like the milk and the sour cream and cottage cheese down, and they'll mark it down at least 50% a lot of times, just because something's going to go on sale the next day or something. And
or they bought too much.
Yeah, and so learn, you know, when they're marking the things down.
Shop the sale ads. This goes with it. But really, Mom and I, we don't buy a whole lot that's not on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we only have 2 grocery stores and a Walmart here. So sometimes the Walmart price is our sale price. But if you have an Aldi and it's cheaper, which it's not always cheaper.
Yeah, you have to watch. I never bought meat at Aldi's.
I never bought meat at Aldi's because it was always cheaper at the regular grocery store or marked down on clearance. And so what kind of things do you buy from the ads?
Oh, I get almost everything, like milk and bread and cereals and butter and cottage cheese and sour cream. I mean, you name it. They have chips if you want. Now, I don't buy a whole lot of chips, you know, but you can get almost, I can't think of hardly, very few things that don't go on sale, you know, even like tortilla shells, corn shell, tortilla shells, that type of thing.
Yeah. And so pretty much, if it's not on sale, we don't just go to the grocery store and buy it.
Even like the fresh fruits and vegetables. I may want bananas this week, but if they're not on sale this week, I don't buy them.
Yeah. Now, the next thing is keep a pantry, keep a stockpile, because when you buy your foods on sale, buy 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, however many you need, but whatever you can afford, but buy 1 or 2 extra and start getting your stockpile pantry up. Why? Because then you're buying everything for the cheapest price.
Yeah.
And then you can eat what you want because you have it stored in your freezer or you have it stored in your pantry and you've already paid the cheapest price. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have a separate freezer to save money. You don't have a separate freezer.
I don't have one. Because, well, usually if you're on Social Security, you're probably 1 or 2 people. And so I can keep an extra loaf of bread in my freezer. If chicken goes on sale, I can get I can get 6 months of worth of chicken for 1 person or 2 people in my freezer easily, plus hamburger, Yeah.
Focus on the more expensive things. So like if you save more money buying meat on sale than you do your canned goods.
Or bread.
Don't fill your freezer with bread that's fairly inexpensive. Fill it with meat that you make, if you save $4 a pound on meat and you save 50 cents for a loaf of bread, it doesn't make sense to fill your freezer or your pantry with things that are cheaper.
Yeah.
So make sure you focus when you're buying on the best value for your dollar. Nobody ever talks about that, but it drives me crazy when I see these grocery hauls and they're like, oh, I just found 15 loaves of bread for 50 cents. I'm filling my freezer. But then chicken was on sale for 97 cents. And they don't stock up on that. You want to stock up on the more expensive chicken than bread. Making homemade is not necessarily cheaper or worth it.
You need to be very, very careful because I made this mistake years ago. I was making homemade bread thinking I was saving us money. And I found 2 things that were wrong with that. For me personally, I was working on parts for our piano business. And so by the time I took close to an hour of the kneading, the cleaning up the mess, the getting the stuff out to do it, all this other kind of stuff, I could have made like $10 to $15 in that same amount of time that it took me to make the bread. So you got to factor that in. The other thing is, I found out, it's not that I don't want to feed my family proper, but my kids and husband could go through 2 loaves of homemade bread in one day.
Because it tastes good. It's basically a dessert.
Yeah. They treated it almost like a dessert. So here I was baking bread up every day, and they were eating more than they really needed to or should be eating.
Thanks, Mom. That's what happened to me. Now it all makes sense.
You ate too much homemade. And so they were eating twice as much bread, so I was paying twice as much for bread that week. So factor in every little thing, from ingredients to other things, just not the ingredients, but everything.
Use your leftovers. Stop throwing away food. I cannot believe the number of people who say, I don't eat leftovers, they're gross. They're not leftovers. You're just cooking for the next meal. I find it so funny that people refuse to use leftovers, but they'll go to all this work to make freezer meals.
It's like,
it makes no sense. So just cook up, get a big roast, cook it up, and you will have meals. You'll probably have 12 to 15 meals easily from one roast.
Yeah, you don't have to serve it the same way every time. The meats especially. That's why I don't do freezer meals. I cook up my meats and keep them in the freezer because then I can pull it out for what type of meal I want.
So let's say we have a roast. We would cook and have roast and potatoes for the first night and maybe lunch or dinner the second night. Then you could have beef and noodles. You could have beef stroganoff. You could have
barbecue beef sandwiches,
fajitas. You could use it in tacos, quesadillas, all your Mexican foods. You could make
hot roast beef sandwiches.
Yep.
Look at what we listed just with that one silly little roast, and it was all leftovers.
Yeah. Guys, all of these recipes are in our Dining on a Dime cookbook 25% off right now. The link is in the description below. Also, if you want the recipes for the roast leftovers, I will link that in the description below also. But really, it is 5 to 10 minutes worth of cooking, and you can have meals for all week.
And it has been proven now. Tara and I have been saying this for like 20, 25 years. And people weren't listening. And recently they've been coming out with studies that prove people throw away 50% of their food that they buy. Now, I want you to think about that. If you spend $400 a month on groceries, you're throwing away $200 every month. That can add up to what? $2,400 in a year?
Yep.
This is why you can't live on your Social Security.
Yep.
You're wasting a lot of food.
All right, guys, those are a few tips to help you save on your grocery bill while you are living on Social Security. Please go watch this video next on how Mom lived on $750 a month. Visit us at livingonadime.com.
Bye-bye, guys.